Sorry, 12:03, okay, all right, well, open the license review board meeting. Oh, we have minutes first.
But they're the old minutes
Oh, they're the old minutes.
with the one change,
Oh, okay,
just about me, like the first paragraph.
oh, okay.
She just reworded it, like it's
Okay.
considered.
So we'll have a motion to accept these minutes.
So move.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, oh, I'm glad you put that in there, Kim. So we continue on from 7910, but I do want to find your point, Paul, about sole proprietor. Where did we use it? Because it had to do with the insurance.
The insurance had to do with, I mean, from my experience back there, it's the workman's comp issue.
Right.
And of course,
98.4 just says license required. We get it.
like I said, you could be a sole proprietor and still have employees.
Yeah.
Right at the last page
Yes,
here.
yes, definitely.
And in this situation, with the way they use it, the reason they specify is to avoid the workman's comp. So
Yes.
I just wanted.
And here in look, this, the last page of what Kim gave us, 98.8B, 98.8B, it says all applicants must permit, proof of liability insurance naming, or also must all submit workers' comp. So it doesn't, there is no exception there. That's where you'd have to put something.
Yes, yes. Except for sole, that's what I was thinking, except for
Right.
sole proprietors who have no employees.
Right.
Just gonna make a note.
After just the workers' comp part.
All right.
Mhm. I mean, does that, because like a sole proprietor is a sole proprietor,
Well,
when we're doing an exception to what somebody needs, that's where we would do like,
my point is that there would be no point
to define it.
to even having a sole proprietorship if it differentiated in some fashion or other from the ordinary contract, right? What's the point of pointing it out if it's not, if it's different than why? Right? I mean, that's the way I'm thinking. So, I mean, I would just simply, ordinarily, you have the leeway in the definition section.
Yeah.
If it departs at all from the norm, just simply, this is our definition of it.
Okay,
You know, that's just,
yes.
I would just do that, because otherwise there's no point in having it,
Yeah.
because it's all the same.
Individual. All right, so we've got, so it says an individual who owns and operates a business without forming a separate legal entity and who has no employees.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
That's kind of where I'm at with that.
Okay,
So then, as long as we've gotten to that, just a question on F, the exceptions. An owner performs his or own work
which section are you in?
on the first page.
Oh, okay, you're still in definitions, okay.
So that means that the owner can't have an employee. Does that imply that, or should we say that to make it clear?
For sole proprietor.
No, not even for sole proprietor, like an owner, like if it's the owner, if I own my house
Yeah,
and I want to hire somebody to help me side one wall,
right?
I don't need it. If I'm hiring, just paying.
No, you don't need, you can hire people. I mean, that's always been my contention.
Right.
Is that what you're saying, that you can hire people to do stuff, right? I mean, at a certain point, the town needs to separate itself from this response,
Right.
facing everybody.
Yes.
If the homeowners are gonna assume those risks, and that's what the homeowners, they did that knowingly.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah.
Huh?
I don't have a problem with
Yeah,
that.
I don't, I just want to make sure we're all on the same page.
No, I think it's a good thing to point out.
So it was F that's now becoming E. All right, so tell me, and now that I'm caught up, like, where are you?
Oh,
I'm
so,
like looking at all the stuff that,
yeah, I was saying, so an owner that performs his own, that owner can have something, like if I, not a contractor, I'm a retired, just a plain old person, I want to hire somebody to help you, I want to, to help me
Mhm.
side this wall.
Yeah.
I'm doing the work,
Mhm.
but I can hire somebody like, hey,
The place to put, the
help me
place
clean
to,
up or do whatever.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I think the place to put that would be where you're defining the contract. Because that person working for the owner. Unless you can figure out a way to succinctly or, what's the word, never mind. But to combine that. What's your proposal for the language?
I'm not sure.
Okay. But my
I'm just
point is that
saying,
ultimately, the exceptions to who would be a contractor would be
Right.
somebody that would be hired under the auspices of the homeowner
Mhm.
to do the work.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Because otherwise you're combining two ideas that are,
right, you gotta somehow set, yeah.
right. Now, wait a minute. The exceptions.
But in a way,
In a way, you kind of, I know,
like, yeah, I think this is just to exclude the owner.
so when
Well, what are
I
they,
hired like one of like Reece Shecklin's guys on, Saturday to help me clean up the yard.
And that person screws up, then you'd have recourse under this.
Yeah, but if I'm working with the person, it's not like if the difference is a person hiring a contractor is not on the site. If you're hiring them to help you, you're there overseeing what's happening. If I hired Henry that works for Reece Shecklin, the cleanup guy, to help me clean up, I'm doing residing my house myself. There's one side, and I'm gonna have him help carry shingles and clean up. I hired him, he's working with me. It's much different when you're hiring a contractor, you might be in London while the work is happening. So you have no, I don't know, it should.
I know, that's a hard one,
It
like,
is, but I don't want,
it's only hard if you're really worried about what you've lost control over one of the flies in the,
right,
as it were. It's like,
yeah, does that person need to go get
yeah.
a contractor license?
Does it need to be acknowledged in this?
I mean,
I mean, I don't know if it, if somebody hires somebody to help them, or
Yeah,
work
like
with them.
when I do my
That's, I mean,
lawn, like
that's
every
outside
other
of it.
time or third time, I have a weed whacker. I don't know, I just don't like weed whacking so much. So I'll get like one of the guys will come over with me, for an hour, and he'll do the weed whacking while I'm on the mower going around. I don't hope that I don't have to get a contractor, so he's working directly, maybe it's directly under the owner's supervision or something like that. Directly under, I don't know how to describe it, you know what I'm saying, when they're physically there working with you, somebody, that's very different than you hire a contractor and you don't necessarily when you hire a contractor, you don't have say of what the contractor is doing. You know how he's supposed to achieve the result, but you don't have say over how he's doing it. Like if he's going to put the roof on before the window's in, or vice versa, where you hire an employee, you're directing the employee specifically what to do while you're there overseeing him. Okay. I don't know. And maybe it's not a problem,
I
and you
don't
just
know.
let it slide.
Well,
I'm just,
but that person might get an exception for the dollar value, the number of jobs.
okay.
5,000, 15,000.
Yeah, but that person, like in my case, is working for Recheck. He's certainly not gonna reach that on his own. He's working for Recheck, and he's getting paycheck for recheck rather than just.
You know, if you don't advertise yourself in any fashion, in all honesty, you're not advertising yourself as a contractor, then exactly what makes you a contractor? Because you said you do something for Peter.
Mhm, right.
Yeah,
I'm thinking that person would fall under the exclusion. I mean, forgetting the fact of who's actually paying this
Right.
person to do.
okay, I see
your
what
work.
you're saying.
If you just hired this person to come in and help you, and just like,
Right, so
okay,
it's
come
under
to
the
my house.
$5,000.
Yeah, come to my house,
Yeah.
I'm gonna pay you, $50,
Yeah,
then they're not gonna get
they're under the
$5,000.
$5,000 exclusion.
And if they're doing it for lots of people and they go over 5,000.
Right,
Then they probably should be getting that.
right. But
But the
if they're
5,000, the
working,
5,000 was a permit thing, was it not?
Mm-hmm,
Okay, and the 15,000 was aggregate.
mm-hmm.
if they're working for a company, like a lot of people have their employees help them on the weekend, a lot of people, I mean, Bobby Marcello does, I mean, Walter Richards, I'm sure does, they do his, all these people, and you could say it's, if he's
I don't-
paying
I don't-
to the company,
I don't know, do we really need to acknowledge that?
I don't think we.
I don't think.
I don't
we
think
do.
we do.
Yeah.
I
Okay, I was just bringing
somebody
it up,
has
it was a
somebody
little,
come in and-
Mhm.
it's a little,
All you're trying to do, Al, at that point would be trying to protect the person that's brought in.
as I say, every law creates 10 loopholes.
Mhm,
And then you try to plug the loopholes, and that makes 10 more loopholes.
mhm.
Again,
So let's leave it.
the purpose of what you're doing is to get revenue.
Mhm.
Ah.
No, not,
Oh,
no.
No, not-
Camera acknowledgement, thank you.
No, I was talking about the contractor. I mean, is this person trying?
Well,
to
if you're
make-
trying to protect the
is this person-
consumer,
Yeah.
Yeah,
the consumer has made a choice to pick somebody to do some stuff for them, okay?
right.
As long as, I don't know.
When I hire one of the guys
In other words,
to weed whack, I take full responsibility for weed whacking.
Harry homeowner has
Right.
the right to do his own work.
Right,
But Harry homeowner evidently doesn't have the right to hire somebody who can actually swing a hammer to help him
No,
without having that person be licensed. And I would say that person that has some knowledge about swinging a hammer has implicit license under Harry homeowner's implicit license under the
Yes.
law.
yes, no, and what I'm saying is, I think that they would fall under the exclusion because they're not trying to make money as the business doing this. They have a job someplace else and they're
Right.
just a little bit of fill-in, which is not
Was it-
amount.
But a job someplace isn't a requisite, it never states that in the code.
No, but I mean, the person.
As a retiree, let me just clarify my position. As a retiree, from time to time, people that I've worked with over the last almost 40 years would want something done.
Mhm.
But it's a small job.
Yeah.
Now, I was supposed to gather all the accoutrements of contractor in order to perform that. When they chose it, they called me on my personal phone.
Mhm.
I've never advertised ever,
right.
you know?
So if you're under 15,000, it's fine.
Mhm.
God forbid, two people call.
Well,
Right, I mean, that's what I mean. 'Cause my concern has always been that this is mafia-style government. And as much as you go to this person and you say, you're gonna have some labor problems, I can make them go away. And you say, I don't have any labor problems, he says, well, you will when I get done with you. And essentially, because it's essentially, if you were trying to protect the person and the person had knowingly gone where they wanted to go, to an individual who wasn't advertising himself as the contractor. Exactly what the complaint had. If the person, as a homeowner, has an implicit license to be their own contractor, it's a temporary help. I don't know, whatever, let it go.
Yeah, but I don't view this legislation as a money grab. I view this as
protecting the,
a way for homeowners to know that there's a mechanism, should they have a problem, that there's a place that they can go besides.
and also to
just-
weed out shady contractors.
I would offer, okay, I don't really want to get into uber existentialism because we have, a job to do here. And I said I would help,
Yes,
but
but.
I like not to have to shower when I leave, And,
But no, I think by raising.
because it's like, the money grab thing is hard to deny when you insert yourself in a situation where, the homeowner didn't really want you inserted. We're protecting you from yourself, and I just love those things.
But I think we,
Again, they're operating under their implicit license, actually it's explicit license in the code to act as their own contractor on their own behalf. But maybe that's an argument to be had in court.
I don't think we should worry about it.
I
I was
think
just
we
bringing it up, just that like, I'm gonna continue having one of the guys help me for an hour. every
You wouldn't have
week,
to worry about it. I used to have to worry about it, I 20 years operated without a license, not even thinking I needed one because I never advertised myself. I never signed on a truck and business cards and other, so people call me. Like, well, give me a hand with this, yeah, okay. And eventually I got into trouble. Because I went to the building department with a drawing and said, look, they didn't get a permit. Oh my God, and all hell broke loose. Right? And then I eventually had to get a license for $100. And all was good.
And it's $250 now.
I'm aware, Peter. I'm aware. So now, you have to be selective about your jobs that you take. Because it's gotta add up the money now, because I gotta get a license for it. But you've given some relief to that. All right, so let's move on.
Okay.
I think we
So
did.
we're starting on 7910? Or did you have something else?
No, I think, 7910. The only question that I had in this section was when somebody,
Where are you?
7910, appeal of
Page-
denial
page
for
five.
a permit.
Whereabouts?
7910, just generally. That was just
Oh,
a question I think is more for the lawyer when we bring legal counsel in. Would these appeals be held in a public or an executive session?
That's not a public, that shouldn't be a public hearing, I don't think.
I don't even think this is that, I think it's just the building inspector denies it, because it was arbitrary higher up in the code, that if he felt there was some reason, he can just deny it. He can say, we don't have we're denying it because your insurance is invalid, or we're denying it.
He has to give due cause.
Yeah, he'll give reason, but I don't think, there's no hearing to deny it.
That's
There's
correct.
a hearing for, if they want to appeal it,
Okay, so yeah, that's.
then that would be, there would be a hearing then for that, I think. But
Yes.
I think the building inspector can deny it. Just
This is about the appeal of denial, so obviously, it's
appeal of denial.
an assumption that the denial's been made.
Okay,
Yes.
Follow me? So this is what is describing the process.
right, well, it says it shall notify, personally, or just,
And also, this is a board, not a committee. So it's not going to, it won't be before the town board, it's going to be before
right.
this board.
it would be for us or this board?
This board, not the town board.
Are
So
we,
this is
aren't we referring everything to the town board?
No, the
No.
mission, the missive that came back from the town board was,
To do it to
it gets handled at this
that
board.
this is not an advisory committee, that this is the
Okay, all right.
empowered board.
Yes,
So this is just on, this hearing was just in case the building inspector turns somebody down for a license.
yes,
And he said, no, I want one.
right.
Then,
The statement is, it's titled appeal of denial, I take it at its face.
Right, so then town board becomes licensing review.
Right.
Yeah, yeah, Albert, that discussion took place at the meeting that you, the work session that you weren't at.
Oh, okay, all right, yeah, no,
so
I missed the missive.
somewhere, there's, to me, a missing step here. So if the building inspector decides to deny it for whatever reason, he's gonna notify by certified mail, boom, 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 boom. And then it talks about the hearing, we said, shouldn't the person who's denied have to notify the town or the buildings by certified mail or
By
something?
filing a written request, therefore with the town clerk.
Okay, yep, okay, missed that, okay.
Yep.
Requested here, okay, gotcha, okay, I missed that, somehow skipped that line.
It's a tedious reading, Peter.
It is,
It's tedious. It's about as bad as it gets.
okay.
Makes you want to gouge your eyes out.
And then basically just changing town board to license review board.
Mhm. My next comments were at 7911.
Yeah, I had in B, I said 79.6 is the same thing. Go back. 79.6 is terms of license shall be 1 year. Subsequent renewals shall be for a period of 1 year. So do we need,
I know, there was a couple of things that I thought were duplicate. Terms of license 79.6.
F.
yeah, F, well, E, I didn't, F I think can be deleted.
Yes, I mean,
And
Yeah, so we're gonna get rid of B because it's just a duplication of
I
79.6.
think so.
Yeah.
It says it's 1 year.
Yeah, I agree.
And this is how you get in trouble, because you decide to change something to 2 years and you
Mhm.
change it in one place.
Yes,
And then one
exactly.
place it's 1 year, one place it's 2 years.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay, so we're getting rid of B.
yeah,
And then,
I didn't understand what C meant exactly.
It's in a CYA,
yeah,
the town
that
CYA.
would be illegal. That would be a lawyer insert.
Okay. I just hate
Just because he said it's okay, doesn't mean it's okay.
reading stuff
you're not,
that I don't
you're not
understand.
supposed to, you're not supposed to understand.
I know, that always, you know, and E, I didn't really understand exactly what, exactly what that meant.
That doesn't mean,
Well, before you get to E,
Yeah.
on D, I thought D was duplicated down below under conditions of license, no.
it doesn't give you a license to be a plumber, for instance,
Right.
or an electrician, just because you have the town contractor's license. That's what it's telling me.
Okay.
Oh, yes, I agree with you on E.
Okay, that makes sense now, yep.
On D, I felt like D doesn't need to be under license fee, it's already under conditions of license.
Yeah,
You know, that it can't be
Yeah.
transferred or
yeah, that,
assigned.
right. That's
Like,
Right,
why, it's
right.
down below.
It's misplaced.
It's
Yeah.
in 12, so get rid of it.
Which one of these does not like the other?
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Let's keep repeating ourselves.
Right.
I like shortening code.
And F, we get rid of? Because nobody does that.
Yeah, that's, I had written down, does this even happen?
No.
Yeah.
F, yeah, no.
F goes away too.
And
And then
even
G.
G, I think we could delete it because a renewal, when you renew your license, it's gonna have the current
Mhm.
information.
Yeah,
I mean, when you, if you have a year left on your driver's license and you move, you're probably not gonna change your license. You're gonna,
Mhm.
when you renew it, you're gonna put the new information in it.
mm-hmm.
So I think G we could get rid of.
Yeah, because I asked Mary Ellen about this, and she said it happens sometimes, but not always.
Yeah.
I mean, the only reason it would be relevant really is if you have a material change in who's actually running the business and things like that. I mean, you issued a permit to a person or a corporation and it's transferred to another corporation, and, you know, everything that went into the licensing process would be required of the new entity in ownership. Just like when you transfer a vehicle, you've got to register it, you've got to insure it, you know what I'm saying? You've got
When
to,
when I retired last June, it's a change, it is change of control of ownership, technically,
yeah,
because now I'm not a shareholder.
right.
Does that mean that
No, I
remaining?
wouldn't say it wasn't
needs to-
entire, you know,
to
probably
notify?
not, probably not. But I mean, if you use the motor vehicle department as a model, which isn't a bad thing, now that they have their act cleanup,
Yes.
you buy a vehicle from someone else, all the requisite things, the boxes have to be checked for you. Your insurance isn't any good for the truck you sold me,
Right.
nor is your license, nor is your registration any good for the truck you sold me. So I mean, it's not a completely useless provision, although it's probably rarely going to hold into question.
My thought on G is, if you give up control of your company, it might be in your best interest to notify the building department that you're no longer
Yeah.
on the hook for
Right.
any
Right.
That's for sure.
steps.
Yeah.
But I would say that's on you, not,
Yeah.
like, let's not make it.
Not
part
in
of
Well, it's not on me, like ours, it's still Reach Eklund is on the hook,
Mhm.
but I'm not Reach Eklund, I'm not on the hook.
Yeah.
You know, kind of thing.
Yeah.
I suppose if it was just in my name, I was a contractor and I.
Is that not another one that could be pulled out of that section and put in another one as well?
I could go under conditions of license.
I mean,
Yeah.
essentially, they took license fee, just do everything they could find in it.
Yeah.
It's kind of odd.
Yeah.
So sometimes that's how we roll.
This one. All right, so I say pull it out of here, and as we go into the next section, we can figure out whether or not.
Yep.
So that leaves license fee with an A, a B, and a C then.
You're right. I mean, that could move to 12, couldn't it?
So,
A lot of the,
If we so want to impose it.
and truthfully,
I'm a little confused.
if you think about it, license fee could be stuck under 12. I mean, you could sort of eliminate that section and just say, well, there'll be a fee associated with it of blah, 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 and that's a condition of the license.
Yeah.
You could remove the whole
Yeah.
bloody thing. You guys think about that.
So it says, no, so I'm a little confused here. It says, no license shall be transferable. Yet it says, if you change ownership, you need to notify the building department. Isn't that a contradiction?
Yes, although Reach Eklund still remains as an entity.
Right. Right,
So Reach Eklund is the person, so to say.
okay, I see what you're saying. Right. We couldn't sell it to
You can't
Chris
just sell.
Chobor.
Right, exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
But you can change the ownership. I mean, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, for a second, I was like, wait a second, this is like saying you're not part of a MS-13, but you're afraid to go there because you're rival gangs. Well, if you have rival gangs, that means you're a member of a gang, you know, kind of thing, doesn't it? It's kind of felt like the same kind of thing here.
What the hell are you talking about? Hey,
I'm thinking the
come on.
news.
You're going way up on a
I know,
tangent.
I know.
Get back, come on back.
Go climb up, Paul's gone, come on.
All right, so conditions of license, let's go through those before we figure out
Yes,
whether or not G is gonna go down or not. Because I still feel like with G, like, the only reason we want to know about a change in ownership or management is just to know who to contact if there's a problem.
right.
But we're gonna contact the old person, who would then say, no, you need to talk to the new person.
Right, right.
If there's a change in ownership, you would need to get a new license.
Well,
You can't transfer a license.
That's kind of what I'm saying, right?
You can't transfer a license.
but if the entity is the same. like
If it's the
Reach
same
Eklund-
entity, but the ownership of it changes.
Yeah, so Reach Eklund.
If Reach Eklund,
person.
if Reach Eklund, if I own Reach Eklund, and I sell, Paul buys Reach Eklund Construction and assumes all of Reach Eklund's current jobs.
You
and-
have to now assume the obligations that you have
Right, you're in-
under the conditions of the license.
New owner, yeah.
Right,
So in your situation, you didn't entirely, get rid of the,
Right.
you still have Eklund. So it's a modification rather than a complete change.
but transferring it means it would be selling it from Reach Eklund to another company. If if it's staying the same corporation, I think that's okay. It's like,
Well, then the corporation actually has issued the license, right?
yes,
Yes.
which it is.
Yes, which is, if you go back to
Okay.
the exception.
So that's what I'm saying, if somebody buys all the shares of Recycling and keeps Recycling.
How much you want?
Like,
I'll buy it right now.
right, but if they buy another, if they buy it and, meld it into their current company or into another company, then you would need to get a new license.
Yeah, when I was still doing my accounting practice, there were two ways to dispose of a company. You either
Right.
sold the company in its entirety, the name,
Right,
kept the tax ID number. That, I think, would be where it's not a transfer of the
Right.
license.
right.
Because
The
it's
Equins
staying the
sold the
same.
Ram's Head,
But
but it's, say, the Ram's Head.
Yeah, but then
Finish your story.
I was gonna say, but then other clients would say, I don't want to purchase his potential liability, so I'm just gonna purchase the assets of the business.
Right.
So in that case, they're buying the assets, but they wouldn't be able to transfer the license because it's not the same business.
But then they're not keeping the same name then.
No.
Right,
Then-
so-
Well, yeah, no, they'd have to.
They had to
modify
change the
the-
name. So like the Equins sold the Ram's Head. If the Ram's Head has, a dock permit, that dock permit continues with the Ram's Head Corporation.
But if they just
But if
sold
they-
the assets,
Right,
then it's a different company, new doc permit.
like Jack's Marine, when they sold State Jack's Marine. And they were able to keep the moorings because they stayed Jack's Marine. If they changed it, they might not have been able to.
Mhm.
Yeah, okay,
I'm good with this.
yeah,
And I still feel like change of control and ownership or management. I don't think we have to be the ones to follow up on that.
right.
Or do you disagree?
I wonder about the control and ownership is one thing, management. That could be a new foreman. Well, I mean,
Exactly, yeah.
right?
Yeah. So.
You don't want to, that's not a violation, all right? So you can toss this thing, right?
This can go,
Yeah, okay, fine.
yeah.
Because there are other elements, you could lean on probably regarding, the next section. The things that have to do, not in the next section, but
Conditions.
in 20, when you start talking about
Oh,
fraud or misrepresentation, that's the point.
So then in the next one, E, it's like,
Are you in 11E or 12E?
12 E.
Oh,
G,
okay.
G would have to be completely dissected under the lamp of what's required for a licensee to get a license in the first place.
What about D, before we go to E? Eliminate that?
Yeah, can be posted in a conspicuous place, yes.
Right.
Yeah, that eliminates.
Yeah.
Yeah. And on vehicles too, whenever we get.
We got rid of the vehicle
Yeah,
one,
okay,
that's
all right.
G.
Well,
Interestingly, D actually justifies G then, resolves G. Only because it's like, you can't transfer the license.
Right. So basically, G, H, I, and J, I think should all be out.
yeah, I wondered about the advertising. Like, no one's including a contract or license in their advertising.
Right.
And then,
And G, H, the rest of the chapter from there on.
wait, licensing must ensure all vehicles comply with applicable laws and regulations.
Every vehicle needs to comply with the applicable laws and regulations. Like, why, that's just silly to put that in there.
Mhm.
I mean,
That's an enforcement issue for the police.
yeah, every vehicle
I don't
needs
think
to, that has nothing to do with the building department.
Okay, so we're getting rid of H.
Yeah, so G, get rid of
I,
G,
you're
I.
saying.
They have to do that, but not as an element of being licensed. They have to
Right.
follow the regulations for their own protection with the state.
Right,
So what they're saying is if you find those types of violations, yeah,
I mean, getting a contractor's license doesn't mean you don't have to register your car with motor vehicles, you still have to do that.
I mean, I would say I would get rid of that just because it doesn't make any
Yeah,
real sense. You're not gonna,
that whole,
Mhm.
I would shoot that.
Okay, so J goes. K goes.
yep. And back in E, the building department will get a copy of it. So if our liability or comp, if we list them on it
Mhm.
with the address, the box 970, whatever it is,
Mhm.
if ours is expiring, they will get a notice. Anybody that the insurance company has issued a policy to, they don't just tell us, they send it to everybody who's insured, who has a certificate. They send it to all certificate holders if your insurance is expiring.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, correct, Kim?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so we.
So
can
who are
get rid-
certificate holders?
The town.
The town is.
Oh, okay.
So the town will get notice, like if I didn't pay our workers' comp, then it expires, I think it's like within 15 days before it expires, the town will get a letter saying it's expiring on such and such a date. And then if we don't pay it, they'll get a letter saying it expired as of such and such a date.
Each I check.
I know, because we get them from the subs all the time,
Right.
those things.
So going back to E, we were getting rid of that
I think it's gonna happen, first of all,
Where are you?
it's not gonna do it.
on 12E.
Okay.
Yeah, I said, good luck in getting that, and you will get it anyway, from the person.
That was
Did you say
yet
B or E?
another iteration of the same thing, right?
E,
One said 10 days, no one said 7 days. It's like,
Right.
okay,
yeah,
pick one.
but also we eliminated it.
Right.
Are we eliminating E also? I mean, this is just an address and trade name. That one we might want to keep.
Again, it has to be reviewed in the context of the conditions of the license. If it's less, those things are considered critical
Mhm.
in the application. Material changes from the application would mean you had to, E.
So keep E or,
Wait, which is E? E is
um,
12E?
12E, yeah, 12E.
Yeah, must report to the building department for lapse in license and insurance.
No, oh, we have a
See,
different.
that's what I'm confused, that's why here's my 79E.
Oh, yours is like, look, you go from D.
He's looking at the real thing, when we're looking at a modified version that was handed out, right?
I'm looking at the actual code section. You're
This
looking,
is I mean,
no, but look, you've got D, H, E, F, G, H. You've got some weird letters.
oh yeah,
going
look at
on
that.
Oh, well,
That's,
there.
that's perfect.
I mean, I just,
And quantum AI. One of these days. One of these days when the quantum AI is done with this, it's gonna, every screen's gonna have something different on it. You'd be like, I don't know.
Can't wait.
Real, I don't have
Can't
any.
wait till you're on.
I don't know, Amber, I don't know what to say about that, except that, changes of address that have to do with notifications and all that stuff, it's extremely important,
Yeah, yeah, that's why I'm thinking keep it in.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Okay,
I don't know, 7 days is a little tight, but
we could change that.
people forget,
Mhm.
They're usually busy doing stuff too,
What would you-
Worried about whether the town's worried about where the mail's built to.
What would you suggest?
30 days.
30? Yeah.
Okay.
That's reasonable. That's the correspondence cycle.
all these things, if somebody fails to do that, this is ground for
Revoking their
for
license.
revoking their license.
But we've only left 1, 2, 3, 4 things in here.
Right.
We got rid of all the others.
We've got A, B, C, and what was the?
E, with a change to 30 days.
Usually the way this did this.
Would you say 4 or 5 things?
Or,
We don't want to keep F?
oh no, because they're getting automatically notified
Oh,
when there's a
okay.
lapse in
All right.
coverage.
Okay.
Are we ready to move to the next section?
Sure. So in A, it says the town board will, it's 2 years unless reappointed. You guys appointed me for 28 months.
Yeah. So let's say no more for,
Okay.
let's say 3 years on that, because we've been doing mostly 3 years on.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna suggest.
So Paul, you ready for that? You're locked in for 3 years?
Never locked in now. But that's why God made resignations.
Yeah, I was just thinking that.
No resignation.
That's unfortunate.
What's unfortunate?
I sent myself an email. I didn't get it.
You know, Paula, you're written down here for till 2029, so actually,
Oh, there it is. Just taking a sweet time downloading it. Okay. Okay, because I had my corrections and additions and subtractions in there.
yeah, actually, we went out 5 years at some point. I think thinking it was gonna be a 5-member board.
So number 5 is gone, obviously.
No.
No, that
Oh, no, okay, or retired, no, there's a new, okay, the change.
I was just saying one with the term just a little bit, Steve.
we need to set the number of members, because
Yes.
we don't have this.
I strongly recommend 3.
Okay,
It's hard enough, and we haven't yet filled it.
correct, correct.
I would take a look at that and say, okay, I'm happy with 3.
Okay.
I will try to. All right, so we need to add one that just sets the.
More bodies rarely helps in decision-making.
Yeah. I think what we'll do is, once we finish this, because we do have all of the terms are like, Albert, you're good until 2028, I'm good until 2026, 2027, 2029. We'll like have everybody put in their resignation and then reappoint you two for no more than 3 years. So you're not stuck for another 4 years.
Yep, that's fine, yeah.
Mhm.
So hopefully this part doesn't last 4 years, right?
Yeah.
Nope. I'm gonna have a bandwidth for that.
Sticks.
Mhm.
Amen, brother.
So I'll do some language to make it a 3-member board.
Yep.
Okay. Under B.
B?
Mhm.
Oh, B's a good one. I got a bunch of stuff I can send to you, but we'll go over them.
So I said, I changed it to, it is the function of this board to hear any complaint or grievance made by owner, any town employee, or any homeowner within 200 feet of the owner. Then continue, that may be the basis of a suspension, revocation, license, and I also added fines.
I would argue that the very critical thing for this to me is that the building department be the interface. It's a data collection point, it's where the complaints should be, permits are issued there, licenses are issued there, and the gripes about permits and licenses should be taken.
Taken there.
Yeah.
It's a repository for the information.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? That's the best way. You don't want people coming in off the street
No.
that are pissed off and saying, okay, I want the license reviewed. It's
Right.
like,
Well,
of
I
course,
think-
we would have to convene just to say no. I'm not gonna review that. The building department is
The
that way.
building department, then I think the building department should only accept grievances or
Or not.
complaints from a town employee. Could be from a town employee.
On what grounds? I mean, because you don't want, were they gonna come
I don't
up
know,
to
if
him?
somebody talks to one of the town board members, that you gotta look into this kind of thing.
She would go to the building department and say,
Yes, but so I'm saying a town employee can bring something to the bill. The owner
okay,
can bring it, and I'm saying a homeowner within 200 feet or adjacent. You don't want somebody from Ram Island, you're doing a project in Silver Beach, you don't want somebody in Ram Island.
they're out there too.
Oh, yeah, oh, I know. But I think it should be,
Okay,
not just the owner, it should be either a homeowner within 200 feet or adjacent, because they're parking on their lawn, crap's blowing out of the dumpster, they should be able to make a complaint. I think.
So give me your wording again. It is a function of the board, of this board.
Of this board to hear any complaint, but somewhere ahead of that, we want to say the complaints, or maybe at the end, complaints will be directed to the building department. But I said, is this function of this board, and I crossed out, all right,
Oh, so you gave this to us.
yes,
Okay.
you have it in red, you should have it in
Yes.
red.
I was gonna say, so I want to be able to look, okay. So it's the function of this board to hear any complaint or grievance made by owner, any town
Yes.
employee, or any homeowner within 200 feet of owner that may be the basis for suspension or revocation of a license or fines upon finding that the license.
And then I would add,
Okay.
then I would add that such grievance or complaint needs to be made to the building department. Right, and then they're gonna pass it on to us,
that's what I would do.
correct? Because they're,
Mhm.
Any random person can go into the building department and say this or that, and then the building department can look, and if there's a violation, they can make note of that, they issue a citation, this is normal business.
Right.
People do that all the time,
Yeah.
we're not gonna start talking to them until we have something of substance from them, and at that point, I would
they're
think.
getting paid the big bucks.
Well, yeah, that's fine. But,
Yes, no, I agree.
let the building department sort of be the place where the complaint actually emanates from,
Right,
ultimately.
because they may make a call and it'll make.
They look and say, well, that's fine, we talked to the guy, it's all done, this stuff goes, the things that don't go away, what we're interested in,
Right, exactly.
I think. I mean, you can play with that at your leisure and everything.
Yes, yeah, I'm going to, yeah, that's going to require.
So 1 and 2, I didn't know what the difference between a false statement and
let me-
misrepresentation.
Can I go through that, because this is the only thing I spent a lot of time on.
Okay, yeah,
Okay? And I thought 1 was actually okay. Because it refers to the securing of a license.
yes.
Okay.
That's legit, right? 2, I moved to strike altogether.
Yeah, because false statement, isn't that misrepresentation? They're the same.
There's a bunch of redundancies here.
Yeah.
I agree.
3,
Threes, I don't like 3.
I took out as too subjective, largely unprovable.
Yeah.
If not, addressed in other areas.
Yeah.
Sounds good, but what are you gonna do?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
What are you gonna do with
Not
that?
of good character. Who's going to determine that?
We're not writing the 10 Commandments here. Number 4, I have that essentially as 9. So I wrote essentially 9, so that's number 9. So strike and create a fraud clause. That's where it gets a little bit dicey. So I'm going to email you this, Amber,
Okay.
so you can go through it.
What are you saying, number 4 really rolls into number 9?
Well, it will eventually.
Yeah.
Once 9's written the way I have it set up.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, because I was going to say, because number 9, I sort of had a problem with.
I would understand
I just
that.
was saying, does this allow
Right.
town to bring?
And well, let me tell you what I got for 9, and then you'll see if you like it.
Okay,
Under 9, I put down unjustified abandonment or failure to time to perform any home improvement contract or project undertaken by the contract.
I mean, 4 and 9 are a little bit different, the way I'm looking at it. 4 is that the contractor is doing something bad. 9 is he's walked away from it. There's two very different things, I think. It could be the best work all of a sudden and, you know, he's having a fallout with the owner, or the owner's not paying him, and he said, I'm walking away, you know, kind of thing. They're two different things, kind of abandonment and poor work.
I was still leaning towards some kind of combination,
Yeah.
you know? I mean, I put down 9 unjustified abandonment or failure to timely perform, and then 4 is practice of failure to timely perform. That's why I made 9 the way it was, so it threw that in there. So abandonment or failure to timely perform, the two different things, I combined them in 9. That was my thought.
Okay.
I'll send this to you as well, all of you.
Yeah.
Is you still A. Dixon at UBP Reach,
We should.
shelterislandtown.gov?
Go.
Okay, and is you still A, or is it AB?
W.
It's ABW, AB Williams.
AB Williams, no periods or anything like that. All right. Okay, so anyway, that was my suggestion. We'll roll those two things in, basically abandonment or failure to timely perform. I'm just trying to tighten this thing up so it doesn't go on and on. And then 10 was willful deviation in any material respect from plans, specifications.
Before you get to 10.
You delete
number
5? Yeah,
Yeah,
delete 5,
5 goes.
because we already deleted it elsewhere.
So,
What about number 6?
Why is any demand?
I feel like,
6, I had, 6 was okay in my book.
okay, because I was.
Yeah, I think that encompasses like getting a permit, whatever, doing something to
Okay.
pass an inspection, I don't know.
Any demand, I want you to get me coffee.
Well, and that is not a lawful.
Yeah, that wouldn't be lawful.
No, I know.
Yeah, but no, I was.
I mean, it's not illegal, but they don't have any lawful authority.
No, but the or separates, it says the lawful to me applies to the word requirement. Demand is separate, it's like we're separated by the or. Like only the lawful only applies to requirement, well, the way I read it, but you're reading it, the lawful applies to demand or requirement.
What's your point, Peter? I'm sorry, I'm losing it. That's not your fault,
Lawfully-
it's mine, I'm old.
Lawfully, I see just applies to the requirement, not the word demand. I guess you could read it either way, that lawfully applies to demand or requirement.
Yeah. Any demand or requirement lawfully made, yes. Those are jumped together, pushed together there.
See, I don't, yeah, that's always legalese. To me, I can always interpret it both ways. But, okay, leave it, it's fine.
See, they can't make demands or requirements that, you know, are outside their purview, so that's legit, I think.
Yeah.
7, what did I have for 7? 7, I threw into the fraud clause thing, because after 7, 8, it gets a little bit goofy, but I threw 7 into the fraud zone,
So that, you thought that was part of, part of 1.
because it was one of those things that, like, I didn't really, you know. Well,
It's a duplicate of 1.
yes.
And isn't 8 kind of redundant? Like,
Huh?
isn't 8 kind of redundant?
What did I have, willful, deliberate, well,
Violation,
redundant to what?
violation of any provision of this chapter.
Well, 8 I combined with the other one about any provision of this chapter.
Go back to 7. Did you put those together, put 7 and 1 together in some fashion?
I rolled 7 into 9.
Oh, 7 into 9, okay. Okay, All right, I'm good.
I think we need,
But I mean, I wasn't at all convinced that the acts of omission, you know, it gets a little convoluted for me. So, in fact, I don't know that I effectively actually did roll that up. I'm sorry, I apologize for that. I was struggling also, I was fighting with the software and the auto formatting.
Oh,
It had me like ready to throw the computer out the window, make it stop. So anyway, I dropped there, I dropped that. So we want to talk about that a little bit.
okay, yeah, because I feel like that one's like an employee of the licensee or a subcontractor does something and the licensee, because the subs are under and the employees
Right.
are under
right,
the general contractor. So if they know that the employee or subcontractor is doing something,
The contractor is ultimately responsible.
right.
yes,
So maybe add the word an agent, subcontractor, or an agent, comma, employees, or subcontractor of a licensee.
Mhm.
Make it clear.
Yes.
Well, we got this emails set up now so you can't actually open an email and like edit it.
No, you should be able to.
Unless it's PDF.
It's not letting me do that.
It's PDF, or is it a Word?
Well, I mean, the email that I sent to myself, the body of it, I can't do, so I would have to,
Mine was a PDF, this thing, because I just found it easier to do.
Yeah, well, I mean, I
Doesn't
just-
script before.
like I said-
I just added these notes on the PDF in red. Because then which is why I'm wondering how that numbering got screwed there on it.
Yeah, that's weird.
Oh, maybe I took the PDF and put it into Word. That's what I think I did, actually.
yeah, I didn't roll up 7. I should have.
Okay. Although I feel like standalone, it's okay.
Yeah, but I did
Fine.
We'll
subcontract.
add subcontractor. And then what did we decide on violation of any of this, or any violation of any provision of this chapter?
Isn't that
I
like
put down,
obvious? I mean, that seems like,
I rolled that up with the state law thing, because later on it talks about, codes and stuff like that. And so I basically, willful or deliberate disregard and violation of the provisions of this chapter or the building, sanitary, fire, and health laws of the state, county, or town of Shelter Island.
Yeah, so we can get rid of 8.
That's what I'm thinking, yeah.
and what did you do?
You're gonna have to renumber these and,
Oh, yeah. What did you do for 14, Paul?
sorry,
Can you read your 14 again? I just want to see how it looks compared to my 14.
I don't have 14, I struck 14.
Oh,
14 was what?
The one that you just read.
See, that was part of it.
willful or deliberate disregard.
I just rolled that up with the other provision of the building code, our building code and sanitary, fire and health law of the state.
Well, I did zoning. I just added after the violation of the building, then I added zoning, comma, wetlands, comma, sanitary, fire. And it was like, fine.
Okay. Fair enough.
Okay.
I know there's a zoning thing coming to the ZBA, because the contractor built what wasn't supposed to be built.
Mhm.
That's a departure from the agreed upon.
Plans from the approved plans. So,
That's already in there.
right. I'm assuming that that's gonna be coming to us.
I would think so. I mean, that's partially why we're trying to get things revamped.
Yes.
Because it's like, okay, you did a bad thing, you've got to get through zoning, but then you need to come
Right,
to us.
and whether or not zoning approves it, you still need to
Yes,
come to us.
yes,
Good, okay.
yes. Yeah.
And
That's why I've been trying to get this.
we're talking about the same
reconstituted.
one in Highland?
I have-
So you're saying that at a singular instance, you're gonna bring somebody in for a review and suspend their license?
Possibly. I mean, that's like, we want the ability to do so. Like, if we see somebody like, who did what they weren't, they did what they were not supposed to do, refinished a basement without a permit, or did something.
Or modified the plans. Like the plans didn't have this, they filled in something in the plans that was not there.
I get that. That's a violation. Is that something that you're gonna take somebody's license away for?
I would think, or hearing, or suspend, or fine. I mean, I think they need to get spanked somehow. If you do, otherwise they're gonna keep doing it.
Yeah, that's been the problem, is that, like, I'll ask for forgiveness instead of permission.
Yeah.
And they go before ZBA, and ZBA generally will grant the variance or say, like, no, you've got to rip out that third floor attic.
Right, I mean, that's the way to manage that.
Yes, yes.
You know, without, you know, simply.
But still doesn't, and when you have a hearing, see, I mean, I think at some point, if you have a hearing and it's found, so the hearing is an executive.
Mhm.
But then if the person is found guilty, that's made known to the
Yes,
public, because
yes.
other people thinking of hiring that person should know that.
Yeah.
And that's also an incentive for the person not to do it, because
Mhm.
you're gonna be,
Yeah.
it's like,
We're gonna have, we'll have a list of people that,
yes,
findings, and some people will be cleared.
yes. I thought 15 was extremely stiff.
So it was what?
Pretty tough.
Well, we've already taken it out of.
Right, we took it out up there, so I think we could
Yeah, we take it out here too.
take it out, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's covered where else?
Number 15?
Well, you were talking about 16, right? Or, well, I'm
No, we're
sorry.
talking about 15,
Sorry.
taking that out.
Oh,
The
Yeah,
failure
yeah.
to notify the building inspector of change of control and ownership management of business name.
Now, is that not somewhere else in the,
Yeah, we kind of spoke that, yeah.
all right, so wouldn't that fall under the violation of anything in this chapter thing anyway?
No, but we took that one out.
Okay. But you kept one.
We kept the change of address or trade name. So I guess you're right.
Right? I mean, it's not gonna hurt.
Yeah, I guess we could just change it to address or trade name. It seems like a minor.
Yeah.
Maybe you could roll that up into that one and give them a certain period of time which to do it. Because this doesn't give you a period of time.
Oh, no, all it does is it brings them before this board. And the board.
Again,
can
you
say-
don't want this thing coming together all the time.
Right,
This is stuff
exactly.
that can be managed, that's why you pay those people back there, right?
Right,
I mean, I feel like this is supposed to be a place where, you know, they don't pull your driver's license for a speeding ticket, even,
Right,
you know, unless it's DUI perhaps. If it's-
They should handle the routine things, we're handling the oddball thing.
Or cumulative routine.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
You know, it's another thing, yeah. So the building inspector, the building department is the primary plaintiff, if you will, for us. Somebody that can ask us to review, given cumulative effort. That's why, you know, we have repeat offenders, it's like, okay, they have record of that. This person has done this a couple, 3 times. Would you please talk to them? You know what I'm saying?
yep.
That's why I was like
Mhm.
fishing around that area. Not as sharp as I used to be in my college, but that's what I'm trying to get at.
Mhm.
The next one, C.
But, so I
Oh,
was,
go, sorry.
so I was scratching 15, but,
Yeah, I think because it was up above. I mean, we.
because I
we
feel
talked
like
about-
that's not something that needs to get followed.
Yeah, I mean,
Right.
Yeah.
Like I said, if there's anything in 15 you're concerned about, you should roll it into that other one we were talking about, the 7-day or 14-day, whatever we decided, you know what I mean?
30 days.
30 days.
They can either pieces, parts, you need to have out of 15s or anything, and they just gotta have it and put it in that. Does that work?
Well, that's just saying that that's a condition of the license. So
Well-
the question is if they don't comply with that condition,
From the life, and
then,
all of those things, I mean, that's that's what conditions mean, right? So that would, like I say, you could roll out, I think, effectively into that, and it would still work, would it not? If you're looking to tighten it up at all. If not, it doesn't matter. Throw it out,
yeah, no, I'm just thinking that's a condition and then this is the discipline section. So if you don't follow the condition, then you're over here. So maybe we just have to change it to,
well, it would be a violation of that chapter, so it would come under that heading, would it not?
yes,
Yeah.
where is the violation of chapter? Oh, then it's, yes, then we're back
You
to,
know, it's flipping around.
I know, then it's back to
8 violation.
14. 14.
Keeps you young, Al.
But 14, you're gonna add zoning and wetlands.
Yes.
Good. Okay.
Yes. Although 14 doesn't say general town code, because this is not a zoning chapter.
Right, but.
14 got rolled up into another one, at least that was the proposal.
Oh, I thought 4 and 9 got rolled together.
Well, I rolled that up into 8. Well, for
I think we
deliberate.
need to see yours on,
Yes, you'll have, to when you send it to,
Yeah.
I'll take a look at that, because I deleted 8 and kept 14.
All right, well, you can pick how that gets done, but
Yeah.
I suggest that they go together.
Mhm.
then in procedure, number 1, 17C1. I'm not exactly sure what that means, like if the license, if we decide, if the building department sends us a case, kind of, here, and we say, it's not, we deny jurisdiction, it's not our jurisdiction, we're gonna send them a letter saying, mail them a letter saying it's not in our jurisdiction? Something seems
Mhm.
weird there.
Whose jurisdiction would it go to?
Well, that's what I don't,
Yeah. Kind of open-ended.
it's,
I almost feel like that would be if someone from the public made a complaint. Then we got it and we said, no, we're not going to take
no, but the
jurisdiction.
building department should not give it to us unless it's from the owner or a person within 200 feet.
Yeah, like I say, it'll probably be a cumulative thing.
Right.
You know, it wouldn't be a singular instance, but
Right.
there's something absolutely dreadful.
I don't think it should ever get to one. The building department is the first line of defense, and they should not,
Yes.
I mean, if it comes to us, we're gonna say, no, you guys deal with that.
I mean,
You know what I'm saying? So we don't have to tell the person, no, we're gonna kick it back to the building department, not send this non-jurisdiction thing to the complainant.
Mhm.
right.
We're gonna talk to them and say, hey, no, come on, you guys gotta handle this. This is not. Right? Does that sound?
Yeah, I think. I mean, that's where it should go down.
To,
All
I
right, so
guess,
how do we want to change that? So in the event that it shall deny jurisdiction,
All right, so I'm sorry, now, which number?
I'm still on procedures 1.
I don't even know if we
Procedure
need
one.
it, because I think it can't get to that if the building department's doing their job. If somebody makes a complaint and the building department sends it to us and it's from somebody, it's a job in Silver Beach and somebody on Ram Island complains, the building department shouldn't send it to us.
But I think
Take
we
it back to the building
I think
department.
one's a legitimate thing to leave in place, yeah?
I think
Okay.
so. Yeah, I'd like the copy should be mailed to or should be given to the
I mean,
building department.
the building department is not necessarily above the role of whining too. So I mean, sometimes you can just tell them to handle it. Write a citation. If it's not a citable, I don't really know what we're doing if it's not citable stuff. And if it is,
Right.
then do it. Then, if you got 3 citations on the same person in a 6-month period, okay, now we should have a chat. So, well, you following me?
Yes, yes.
Two seems okay,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, I'm rereading 3, because now
Yeah.
in this section, we have to go back to, this is the decision
Right,
making
right,
board,
so
so any reference to the
I-
town board has to come.
And I still said after suspension, revocation, or fine imposed, I added. 'Cause I think
Can we
some
do
stuff
that?
is-
We do that?
That was the mandate from the town board.
That we can fine?
If we put it into code here,
Yeah,
Town board consult with the lawyer?
the lawyer's gonna look at this before,
Yeah.
I mean, he was on, he
yeah,
didn't say anything. I mean, he wasn't looking at this in detail. He
So
will
the
give us-
licensing review board can fine, is that what,
Yes,
yep, it's.
from the enforcement pay, whatever. the
Yes.
enforcement-
Well, you have to just, we have to limit the fine, they have to define it, what's it gonna be?
well, that's,
That's later on, at the end of the
Yeah,
chapter.
there is an enforcement, yeah.
That's always the,
yeah, the penalties for offenses, here.
Fine.
All right, so revocation or fine imposed.
and then the only other thing in that paragraph 3, don't do a stenographic, no, we're not gonna hire a stenographer to record the hearing. I say it would be recorded or what, I don't know how we wanna word it, but it shouldn't be stenographer. It will be video recorded.
Where are you?
The end of
Of
number
3?
3.
Oh, there we go, stenographic record.
Yeah, we're not doing a stenographic. We're gonna do a video record, this is just, I'm just saying this is outdated. It's not, it's technology, it's.
All right, so with 20C3, yeah?
The audio recording or something. I'm
It's
saying,
20C3.
yeah.
What are you saying, Pete?
Well, it shouldn't be a stenographic record. It says, the hearing shall be heard. A stenographic record of the hearing may be taken and preserved.
Where is that down? Oh, see, okay.
Yeah, it took me a while to find it too.
Yeah,
One eye in here, I'm one-eyed here, buddy,
an
patience.
audio recording of hearing.
Yeah, because it's may be taken.
Right.
So it's not
Right.
even required.
Right,
Okay,
But I just want to get rid,
yes, audio.
shall be taken.
Shall be taken or may be taken?
I would say shay,
Okay.
shall. I
yeah,
mean, you're taking action against somebody.
yeah, I think it should be.
Yes,
Yeah.
okay,
You're gonna have a record, you can't have a he said, she said affair.
Yeah.
Yep.
okay.
Yeah, probably, yeah, and should be videotaped as well, yeah, is that what Peter's saying as well?
Well, he just said audio, but
Audio,
in this day and age, here we are, getting recorded.
Right, but I'm just saying you don't want it to, if it's a hearing and it's an executive session, you don't want it.
yeah,
Do you need a video?
no, you don't
You
probably.
don't want to get out of it.
The audio's probably fine, because all they really want is a record, though, they're gonna want a rather complete record, you don't want something that you can sort of half-ass. Because, remember the appeal procedure, it's,
Right. The next comment I had wasn't until we got to D powers, number 1.
Yep, I had there. We added revoke.
Yep.
Power to revoke, suspend a license. I got rid of the for a period of 30,
Yeah, that's
19,
gotta go.
30 days.
Yeah, because,
Yeah, we
Now
might do
that-
6 months.
yeah, because now this board
Right.
is,
you still in 3?
D, powers
I-
1, powers 1.
going down to powers for D.
So,
What are you considering in one?
Adding revoke,
the power to suspend, revoke, or revoke, or fine.
So meeting the 30 days, part of that.
Or fine. Yeah,
Or impose fine.
yes.
So suspensions are max at 30.
We got
We're
rid of
taking
the 30.
that, because in the way this is written, this board could suspend for 30 days,
Town board could for
and then the
longer.
town board
Revoke.
could suspend for longer, revoke,
Okay.
and fine. So we're moving all of that to
So we're
this.
getting rid of that and gonna put in what we want.
Yes, which is the
Okay.
power to suspend or revoke a license or impose a fine.
Yes. I think.
And get rid of 30 days.
So,
Yes.
so why are you getting rid of, what are you replacing the 30 days with then?
Nothing, we could do 6 months. We have the option to do 6 months or a year.
Well, you need to limit it.
I think that,
You know, at a certain point, it comes a revocation, to the fact of revocation at that point,
right,
for a period of
Well, I'd say certainly up to a year, depending.
having had my,
well, we have,
I mean, you have to,
Well, actually, here's a difference. So if somebody has 6 months left on their license and we can't really revoke it for a year, we can only just do it for, but besides it, we also want to be able to prevent them from getting a license. Like if somebody is 11 months into their license.
yes,
um,
I hear you.
We want to be, and we don't want them to have a license for a year.
Well, then we have to look at
We
how that relates.
want to say that they
Understood.
can't get it.
But we only need to look at the issuance, at the, you know, the issuance requirements.
Right.
You know, and maybe roll that into that, so that part of the, you know, thing, one of the things you have to do with the license is not be currently
like, say
revoked
something
or
like-
well, I think
suspended.
it was in here.
That their license is revoked.
Any
and it
currently
is not-
suspended license cannot be issued, you know, a renewal.
Right.
So such time.
That period of suspension.
Well, until such a date.
Yeah, until the suspension is run out.
I think then that we have to go back to 79-9.
Yeah, I was thinking about,
Which was issuance of license, which actually I didn't have any, there was still wording in here that I didn't change. Did I change it?
79.9?
Yes. So up on page 5, if your pagination is the same as mine.
That would be for an investigation necessary. Well, you know,
Yeah, so upon completion of the same, the building inspector shall issue a license. We've left in, unless he finds that the applicant is unfit or undesirable, which, how does that get determined?
yeah,
So I think change that to finds that the applicant has had their license suspended or revoked.
they can't renew any license that's still currently suspended.
Right, but this is where the time check would get put in. Like, if this board says we're gonna suspend your license for 18 months,
Yeah,
and then they come back and try and get a license, the building department would be like, no, you're still suspended for
Right.
another 18 months, come back in June 2026.
yeah.
They just put a note,
Yeah,
renewable by, you know,
yeah,
June of,
right. I would say that in the findings or in the hearing, if we find him guilty, we would say, you know, that your license is suspended and you cannot apply for a license
I mean, upon
such and such a date.
98.9 is upon completion of saying the building inspector shall issue a license unless he finds that the applicant is unfit or undesirable to carry on such property improvement. That would be part of his thing. And they're gonna remain, they're gonna remain undesirable or unfit until such time as the suspension or whatever is done, right?
yeah. Well, I would get rid of unfit or undesirable. Because that's subjective without any,
yeah. That's true, yeah, that,
Yeah.
Then back to powers. We're gonna
Yeah.
get rid of two, I would think.
Back to powers.
That, I mean, because it's. We've kind of
Yes,
determined
yeah,
that we're,
2 goes.
yeah,
2 goes,
and then,
and 3 goes.
no, I thought we were gonna keep three. In lieu
Oh,
of
oh, yes.
suspension, revocation, in lieu of a suspension, revocation, or fines, then I crossed out recommendation to town board.
Yes.
The licensing review may accept a written assurance of something. We may,
Where are you, Pete? 79?
under powers,
Yeah.
7923. You know, we may have to do skin cancer checks,
D3.
D3. Or we may have them do some big cleanup of something, you know? Like they did, if they came in here and their hearing is because they did some nasty wetlands violation, we may say, we may have, you know, a fine, we should be able to do both, maybe a fine, $1,000 fine, and you have.
Usually it's and or both.
Yeah, and you have to, but the written issuance of a compromise kind of thing would be that we could say, you have to clean up this section of beach, or you have to plant such and such. You know, that's, if they've just done something, destroyed something, and that's why they're here.
remedy or rectify.
Yeah.
As outlined by,
Yeah.
depending on the circumstance, as outlined by the contractor review board. I mean,
Yeah.
and then kind of make it open-ended, so it's like, we
Yeah,
can,
so we have leeway.
as the individual issue.
Okay, like that. So in lieu of a suspension, revocation, or imposition of fines, the licensing review board may accept a written assurance of a compromise between the parties.
Yes.
Now, the next one, since we've got powers under D, I think
Yeah.
what needs to be melded is this section D powers and then the suspension or revocation by license by town board, like that's got, by town board's got to go.
Go.
And I think that maybe what we said under powers needs to just get merged here. And it's not the town board, it's the license review board. So I may play with this just to kind of mash them together.
Yep.
I don't know whether or not it all just goes under powers, or if the powers comes down here. I'll,
Well,
We don't-
I mean, you almost don't have to have that section since it's not applicable anymore.
the powers,
Well, the suspension, are you looking at 7921?
yes, but I think there's some good things. If you substitute license review board in place of town board, like, it sets out like after public hearing.
See, that's not right. We're not going to do public hearings.
Oh,
I would just stick with what we said we would do for ourselves, and the other guys go away.
okay,
You're not going to get called in, right? So whatever powers you want to give us in our section of powers, and
Yes.
that whole 7921 goes
Okay.
away, right?
okay, so it's a merge up then.
Yeah, if you got something
Yes.
you want to take from there and put into our
Yes,
following.
I think there's, a couple things, but not, you're right, not the public hearing. It's going to be a
Where
closed
does it
hearing.
say public? I don't see.
Under A, 729A. 7921.
Oh, public, you're right. But later in 1 and 2, it just says hearing.
Yes.
Yeah, it didn't say public, okay. See, right. Yeah, public should be out.
All right. But is there anything in there that you wouldn't want to see, like public that's,
That has to be dissected probably, and then compared, and
yes,
can't do that on the fly, right? Just can't.
I can't either.
My
That's why
reading
it's
is,
like, I'll do it later, and then if you guys don't like it, when Kim gets us redlined back.
reading is not near as much fun as it used to be for me right now.
Yeah, although you've taken the thing off.
Yeah, I did, but it didn't. Blur. So just, I would go through that and see if there's anything you want to lift from there,
Yeah.
put it,
Yeah, okay, all right, I have a note, merge that up. Automatic suspension.
It seems a little redundant.
I mean, that's.
Yeah, it does. I think this was just in essence giving power to the building department.
Right, but they have that. Okay, maybe,
I
yeah.
think that's probably a good one. There's no real process there. Because, you know, the insurance issue is the issue.
Right.
So they don't want, if that's the end of it. If you park the vehicle and you leave it there until you get your license sorted out.
Right, yes, yes,
Yep, okay, yeah.
okay, all right,
Right?
yep. Article 3.
Prohibited acts. Sounds like very lewd. Like,
Did all right. I'm just thinking that, is it possible to codify some powers for the building department that would allow them to do a suspension on their own after a certain number of things?
I mean, if they tell somebody 10 times that you gotta take down, you have 5 signs, and code says you can only have 1 sign in front of a job. And if they tell them once, they tell them twice, they tell them 3rd time.
I guess, yeah, it's all right. If they send it to us, fine.
Yeah.
Hopefully, you know, they'll get the idea. All right.
Yeah. Because
One of the things, you
I
know-
don't think the building inspector can say, you know, hey, we've given you, warned you twice, the next time it's going to the license review board.
The one thing
That
that,
will give you a little incentive for them to
yes,
correct
absolutely.
whatever.
One of the
Right.
problems I saw is that it may not be necessarily in the consumer's interest to be pulling licenses and things like that in the middle of a job.
Right, I thought of that too.
You know, it's like, yeah, don't protect me too much. My kitchen's torn apart.
Which is why I wanted to make sure we added fines.
Yeah.
So we could spank them
Right.
like hard, but it doesn't hurt the homeowner,
And one of the,
you know?
is a penalty, is it possible, and I haven't seen it yet, that we deny future licensing? We don't have, you know, any real specific thing.
So it's
Well-
like, you can complete this job, but then we're taking.
Well,
your
that's kind of,
license
you
away.
know, we're not gonna issue another license, not gonna issue permits to your corporate, whatever, you know, and just a thought.
Mhm.
I mean, this is serious jerks you're talking about, I don't know if we have any, but, you know.
But if somebody has, you know, it depends, you know, the homeowner may not want them, if there's like,
They may not want them.
Right,
but
right.
They may.
yeah,
I mean, a lot of times what I'm saying is that our gripes, some of these gripes are gonna be on our end, not our, your end,
right,
the administrative end, rather than the homeowners, and the homeowner's happy with the work. It looks good, like the dock. That's a beautiful, I like my dock, right? You don't like his dock because it was done without permits, you follow
yeah,
me?
but what if, right, but what if it's, well, they don't have insurance, they don't have insurance anymore, but yeah, we'll let you finish it. Yeah, I
No, we
don't,
Well,
can't.
you're gonna have to, do right, there's certain things you just can't do, by operation of law, you can't do that, right?
Yeah.
You're forbidding yourself that option.
Well, I feel like some of these are under the penalties then. So when we get to the penalty section, maybe that's where we
Yeah,
yeah.
address what
Yeah.
kind of penalties.
Permanent revocation.
Yeah, right.
I mean, that would be pretty extreme, I would think.
But one of the things I thought was odd is we have what the license review board, what their function is, in disciplinary procedures, and then we have the prohibited acts.
yeah, I thought that was like,
Acts should
like
come
they should be
first.
first, I had thought of that.
Yeah, like
Because-
this should be Article 2,
What's that?
So the prohibited acts.
Yeah.
Seems like it should be, first you have prohibited acts, then we have.
Then if you violate the prohibited
Yeah.
acts, then you get to the
Yeah,
hearings
Yeah.
stuff,
I
yeah.
don't know. You can move that around.
Okay,
Yeah.
yes. So this will become Article 3
Some of this stuff
with
is,
some numbering.
Very
changes.
arbitrary, a lot of this.
well, again, and it's constructed sort of like, oh, houses used to be constructed back in the day, you know, an addition here, an addition there, and I'm still on locust post, and I don't know, how pretty good it worked for us at the time, you know?
Yeah,
You
Yeah.
know, we'd improve it.
yeah, and we do have 7913 through 19, so we could lift and move without totally screwing up the numbering. But
Right,
yeah, okay, good. Okay, so then these would be the prohibited acts, and some of it seemed like it was. Go back to,
I'm gonna guess, go out on a limb and say that most of these are probably covered under state law. I mean, I'm sure state law has some, you know, some consumer affairs thing or something, it's like, some,
yeah, but I mean, also like,
Well,
it's guilty of any of the following, we've got a list of things you're guilty of.
yeah.
and we're back to the same thing. You get abandonment of willful failure to perform, yada, yada. It's like,
Exactly, yeah,
I know,
yeah, so
I
I
mean-
feel like, why do we have to put it in the discipline, like what we do as a board,
right,
when it's already in prohibited acts? And that's why I thought they needed
you know,
to be.
the whole thing is almost a redundancy.
and some of this stuff is so hard to.
What you could do is go through the whole thing and see if there's anything you just gotta pull from it to throw in the other section.
So now my
Discretionary,
question is should everything be in prohibited acts and we take them out of the function part of the licensing review board?
Where are they, Andrew?
That's back under Article 2, 7920. And then we just reference, I think that's the better way to go. We put it all in prohibited acts. Take it out of ours and just say, if you violate anything from Article 2, come see us.
something, right,
Article 2.
Um,
Article 1, Article 2,
79-12.
disciplinary procedures, right?
Yeah, it was before then. Oh, yeah, no, yes, disciplinary procedures. Yes.
Just go on.
Gotta shorten this thing up.
yes. One. B.
I mean, I don't really see the, I don't see the prohibited acts thing, it doesn't make any, it seems circular and the whole thing is like, what?
Yeah, that's why I think prohibited acts,
They're all referenced somewhere already,
yeah, like,
but it may be a better representation,
yeah, I think it should be here and not
you know,
there.
maybe a better representation of all of those things than what we have cobbled together out of the, you know what I mean? It almost looks like an effort to sort of pull that together.
Yeah. So we're gonna pull it together.
Yeah.
Okay,
Put up with that.
okay, so let's just.
You need
say-
a legislative assistant.
I do.
Yeah.
And her name is Christina, which we don't have her here, so Kim is gonna help me.
I love that, the use in any oral or written representation or exaggeration, like, I mean, what person selling a
There's a thing-
job may not exaggerate a little
A
bit?
thing called hucksterism, you're allowed
Yeah.
a certain amount of exaggeration, and it's a legitimate thing.
Yeah.
Which one are you in?
It
Deceptive
was
trade?
B,
Oh.
deceptive trade B.
Oh, there we go, there it is, B, yeah.
Just, that's, you know,
Yeah, this is a much better, more well-written thing than
Yes.
a lot of the crap we've been waiting,
Yeah.
stuff that we've been waiting through here.
But it says to a material fact.
Yeah.
I mean, once we give this to an attorney, he may
Yeah.
look at this, I mean, granted, an attorney helped with this, but new eyes,
Yeah.
current law,
Well, he'll have a better eye for the mechanics.
may go and say like, oh, that's arbitrary, that's,
yeah.
He'll have a better eye for mechanics, I think.
yes.
I mean, I don't know like an example of C, failure to state a material fact if such fail, like what, could somebody give me an example of that? I just
What?
can't, of C. Failure to state a material fact if such failure deceived or tends to
Well,
be
it's
seated.
saying that this or that has, you know,
I have built 100 bathrooms.
No, but it's saying failure to state something.
Oh, failure.
Failure to state, I can see what you're saying, exaggerating,
Yeah, okay.
but this is like failure to state a material fact.
maybe I install an IA system and don't mention the maintenance.
Okay,
I mean, just something like
I
that.
didn't say that I've never built a house, I've only done handyman work.
Right.
okay, I just, yeah,
I'm just,
Yeah, I-
come up with something.
it's,
Or it's failure to say that you lost your license before because of this or that malfeasance or something else.
I'm thinking of the deck up at Ram Island that was built. They put these little portable footings underneath the post rather than an actual footing.
funny,
It's kind of deceiving when you,
okay,
is that kind of an example of what they're,
Well, again, that's probably a violation of code.
yeah.
Yes.
yeah, exactly.
I mean, failure to state, it's like some, I mean, I guess it's like, when you're selling a house, you have to disclose if there's a buried oil tank.
Yeah.
I guess, okay.
I mean, it's
I mean, I'm
probably,
just trying to think if we're selling, you know, meeting somebody trying to sell them a house, like,
Pete, it's one
what
of
it
those,
is that I have to like tell them.
one of those
like-
things, it's not gonna haunt you, I
Yeah,
promise,
yeah.
it's unlikely
Yeah,
to
I
come
think
back.
it's-
I'm retired, so I'm not worried.
It's good legal, it's
all-
good legally.
Yes.
Yeah. You know, somebody was paid by the word to write this code.
I mean, you could be using some material that was inappropriate for a certain application, and you knew it. And by not stating that, the person pays for it, you know, there's all kinds of possibilities within
Yeah.
that.
Yeah,
They might even conform to code.
the only, in this section, because it seemed pretty comprehensive, the only thing we had mentioned to take out another day, the last time was H, falsely stating that a consumer transaction involves consumer rights. We were just gonna put falsely stating that a transaction involves rights, remedies, and obligations.
Oh, okay, yeah, what's the problem with that?
We just took out consumer. I didn't write a note why we did, I just had two big red X's through it.
Well, that's probably something that was lifted directly from some other code.
Oh, you know what it was? Actually, yeah, because we changed the definitions. That's right, we got rid of consumer in the definitions.
And in K, I thought we had gotten rid of, like, not needed a license if you're like delivery,
We did.
right? So should we take out strike K?
Only by any presentation.
There's no prohibited act. No, the prohibited
Sale
act,
or delivery of utility services, and it's like a very word salad paragraph.
Yes. Mhm. Especially like on the day agreed upon. Like,
Yeah, I
something
mean-
happens and you don't make that, and like.
Yeah, that was excessive.
Yes.
I think K could just, there's so much of it that seems, it just seems such a mumble jumble, and a lot of it, we've already said, the things that don't apply, like delivery and
Yeah.
utilities
you
and
know, remember, but
mechanical breakdown, you know, I mean,
getting back to that prohibited acts merge
Uh-huh.
with function. Prohibited acts section is written much better, so maybe the B function could simply
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
be guilty of any one of the prohibited acts.
Exactly. Yeah, so I'm just gonna make sure
Yeah.
that there's nothing in the
Right.
function section that isn't
Don't want to
already
leave
covered.
anybody out. I know.
Exactly.
I know.
Yes. But I think, I agree with you.
Yeah, that's a much better section,
Yes.
and that shortens this thing again significantly.
my carriage turns into a pumpkin in 15 minutes.
Yes, yep. I was hopeful, I was gonna see how
Yeah.
far we got, and then we'll
Yeah,
figure out the
yeah,
rest.
yeah.
Um,
Maybe leave penalties for another,
Yeah, I was gonna say, so then we're down to, if two, the unconscionable trade acts practice was fine, then we're down to Article 4, remedies, penalties for offenses, and I think that's where we're gonna probably have some discussion on where to go with this, so we could stop here.
seems like a good point.
Yep.
Because we gotta figure out when we're gonna meet again.
Yes, yep. Okay. So with the next time, continuing the discussion from 7940. And I'll do the same thing again, I'll like mark up the changes, and then Kim and I just have to sit down and talk about like timing too for her being able to redline this. So, calendars. Yeah, I had in my head that I knew somebody had to leave by 2. At what you sent over for incorporating.
Yep.
With the hearing impaired,
Oh, yeah, sorry, I'm printing what you had sent me over. I
Okay.
just saw the email. So I'll incorporate those
yeah,
changes.
well, whatever.
Okay, so calendars.
I lost. It's middle of.
Okay, so today is Wednesday. Do we want to try and finish it up this week or push it to next week?
I'd rather not do it this weekend, because this week I'm picking up my daughter tomorrow, she's flying in for
Oh,
Andy's thing, so I'm gonna
Okay.
see her a little bit.
yeah,
And so I'll be tomorrow anyway, I mean, picking her up at the airport and stuff.
no, that sounds good.
Yeah.
So looking at my calendar, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Thursday afternoon is good too, it looks like.
Wednesday would be good for me, as long as it's not first thing, I have a 7:30 doctor.
What are you talking about, Wednesday next week?
Yes,
Do the same time or do after the 4 o'clock?
This isn't bad for me.
yeah, I was gonna say, I mean, we did it,
I have a late lunch. 4 o'clock as I'm getting towards
Or 3
Mental
o'clock?
collapse.
And then I could get like, have like almost.
Teetering.
yeah,
How about 3 o'clock?
how about you, Kim, does that,
That,
What do we say, next Wednesday at 3?
yes,
That's okay with me.
South Ferry meeting is, but that's at
that's
7.
in the evening, yeah,
Yeah.
so we're good there.
Is that too late for you, Paul, 3? That, can you give it a good hour and a half?
No, I gotta try to figure out how to weave the dog thing and everything else. That's fine. That shouldn't really be a long one, I don't think.
Yeah, it's just the penalties, I mean, I have quite a few notes and that's
So
sort
do
of,
you? No.
but,
Okay.
I mean,
All right,
I don't know,
whatever.
I just feel like we have to do a little bit of a rework because we want to make sure we incorporate.
right. I mean, we may want to just do like penalty and then like really start from the beginning with
From the
the
beginning.
rework kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, surely by the time we compile it, you'll be like, oh,
yeah,
So
2 of those, none of those.
April 30th at 3 o'clock?
Yes. Okay, thank you, everybody.
yeah.
And we never had any public. Okay,